Welcome to the Daily Agenda. We're not out at the countryside scenic location tonight because we're rained off. It would seem that the April showers finally turned up in late August and September. But hey, here we are. We're in the makeshift studio, which is slowly being transformed into the studio. So the good news is that we received some great new designs this morning. Well, I say received. We received the missing the missing piece of the jigsaw, which was actually a very high resolution white worm, which I actually had to buy because the ones on the internet were just absolutely dire, quite frankly. So I've been busy all day putting the finishing touches to all the new merchandise. So there's a new range coming next week titled Make England Great Again, which obviously is designed to target the centre-right. Because they think that they've taken over this campaign, that it's theirs exclusively, and no one else can touch it or campaign using that motto. And we most definitely will campaign using that motto, end of, because we're English and this is England, and we're not going to surrender it to a bunch of cooked puppets of the Chosenites, quite frankly, and that's all there is to it. And so the white worm, or the wyvern as it's called to some people, will be on a range of new merchandise next week, from t-shirts, hoodies, drawstring bags, patches, and also stickers. A whole plethora of stuff, in actual fact, for you to feast on. And sometime next week as well, we'll have new flags out as well with Make England Great on it. And then there'll be an alternative version, Make England Germanic Again. And then the range that you see next week will also have another subtitle, which will be a Make England Germanic Great Again. Sorry, Make England Germanic Again, but it will also have the white worm design. And there'll be a raft of other designs coming out as well. So there'll be, probably within 2 to 3 weeks, there'll be 100 or so, or more, probably 200 or 300 different designs to choose from, plus the flags. And so nationalism is changing. And one of the reasons behind this is because charting the path of socio-political development, it's becoming perfectly clear that the demand for an English Parliament is growing across England. And we need to be mindful of this fact, and we simply just cannot concentrate on British nationalism in the same way that we used to do in the British National Party. Those days are gone forever, and they're not coming back. It really is that simple. So we're going to have a policy of offering the English a devolved parliament based in York. That's right, not in Winchester. There's going to be no more of this lopsided, everything planted down there in the south, with the Midlands and the north getting absolutely nothing other than sending money to the south. This is the very same southwest and southeast that's capable only of voting for the Tories and the Liberal Democrats, I might add. Absolutely not. The policy that we will have will be to base the devolved English Parliament in York. And if Southerners don't like that, well, that's just too bad, because they've become too accustomed to having that cesspit of corruption, the Palace of Westminster, down there in the south. For all the good it's done, it's turned London, or Londonistan, into a foreign shithole, quite frankly. It is the seat of foreign occupation government. So we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be doing something completely different. We're going to have a policy of a devolved English Parliament based in York. Okay? And that's one of the reasons why we're actually running this merchandise campaign now, because we're building up the momentum to that. No, we're not going to become English nationalists as such, so to speak, even though we are English nationalists. What I have in mind, what I've always believed in, is a confederacy of England, Wales, Scotland and Ireland as independent nations joined politically, militarily and economically, but not a union, not the actual act of union itself, in which England lost its nationhood as well, without any consent from the English. So we intend to redress that, to reverse it completely, and to give the English their own parliament, which they're entirely entitled to. You can't have these small pseudo-Celtic fringe nations having their own parliaments, and the English, who are the vast majority of the people in the United Kingdom, don't get a say in anything. Some people will say, oh, well, you've got the Palace of Westminster. No, that is for the whole of the United Kingdom. That is not for England. It is based in England, so-called, in a place that used to be called London, which is now a foreign-dominated city, quite frankly, or a foreign shithole, as we call it. To put it bluntly, and that's exactly what we do call it. And so, no, absolutely not. We're not going to pursue this tired old policy, which has failed, of just, okay, devolution has happened, the devolved nations can keep their parliaments, and England's not going to get its own parliament. England most definitely will get its own parliament. And combined with that, we intend to introduce true, genuine English culture. And by that, I mean a policy of returning the English to an educational state of understanding their entire history, including the whole of their pagan history and their Christian history. And we will teach how Christianity came into these islands properly. Not, oh, everyone just converted because it was a much better religion. That's absolutely nonsense. It was an imposition. Probably 5% of the population converted willingly. It was an imposition. The vast majority were forced to convert or suffer the consequences. So that's another way in which we're going to change the country. Is England a Christian country? It most definitely is not a Christian country. It was not a Christian country before the imposition. In fact, it wasn't a nation state. And the tribal states, shall we say, I used to live in the place where the Mercian supremacy once existed, the Middle Angles, and it's the same with Wessex and Northumbria and Kent, Sussex, and every single region of the country needs its own identity. It needs to take stock of its true culture and to fly its own regional flags more than anything else. And that's something else that we're going to get onto as well at another stage. But first of all, we've got to push this merchandise out and get it selling and get people wearing it and campaigning for this very concept. Because then when we've done that, we can concentrate on pushing the Mercian flag and the Northumbrian flag, East Anglia, Kent, Wessex, et al. Sussex. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's what we have in mind. This is the way in which nationalism is transforming. We're not just going along the tired old path of the British National Party. That's yesterday's news, as I've said. That's over, it's finished, it's done, it's never coming back. Everybody needs to get a grip of that idea because there is no other reality. This is the only reality that we have. So keep your eyes peeled next week. I'll announce it obviously here on the YouTube channel that the new merchandise is available. And every time new merchandise is available, I'll post the links and notify everyone of the fact that it's available. And now I think everybody should be able to grasp the true purpose of what we're trying to do here. Because ultimately, if Wales and Scotland succeed in breaking away from England, by whatever means, England will become independent anyway. And this is future-proofing the situation. And in terms of the mass remigration policy, well, that really applies mostly to England, does it not? In South Wales, I've seen that they have serious problems, particularly in Cardiff and Newport and Swansea, with illegal migrants in particular. Somalians, mostly, in Cardiff. But in truth, the balkanisation issue is primarily, it dominates England's cities, as opposed to Scotland's and Wales and Northern Ireland's. And that is something that we have to reverse. And we're going to do that by stopping all immigration and embarking on a policy of mass remigration. And it's all on the Daily Agenda website, the specific policies of how we intend to do that. So, as I said, this campaign, Make England Great Again, is about future-proofing the socio-political situation that this country now faces. And any Englishman or woman who thinks that we don't face this scenario, they're just not in touch with the reality, because this is exactly what we do face. And we need to bring that on board. We need to embrace it. And as I said, we need to future-proof it. And that's exactly what we're doing now with this Make England Germanic Again campaign, Make England Great Again campaign. It's twofold. It's twofold, so that the two are blended. We're giving people a choice between Make England Germanic Again and Make England Great Again. Hopefully, they'll buy merchandise with both of those subtitles on them and wear the mantra with great pride, because that's what we're about. We're about bringing back true English culture. We hear this all the time from the Welsh and the Scots and the Irish. It's been subdued far too long here in England, but not for any longer. This is the campaign to restore England, literally to make England great again. Join me. Join me. Our ancestors demand it, and we demand it as well for our future generations.